Well, good Wednesday, early evening, middle of the afternoon, late at night, wherever you're at in this wonderful world of ours. It is time for Material Issues. It's episode number 144. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records. I'm over here in South Jersey, where it is not sunny South Jersey. It has been raining all day long. My dog Cynz can attest to how annoying that is. But joining me from healthy, happy Southern California, we're good to see you smiling and breathing. My good friend David Bash, president of the International Pop Overthrow Festival. David, a very good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Mark. Well, it's an afternoon here, and it's just as rainy here as it is back there.
There's rain everywhere.
Yeah, it's really been like last year, it's been a pretty lousy winter for us. I mean, I know we're not – hey, Lisa, I know we're not going to get any boo-hoos out of the rest of the country who's been through blizzards and whatnot. But, yeah, I mean, normally during the winter, we'll have a few days of high 70s, low 80s. We haven't had that for the past two winters. Mostly it's been high 50s, low 60s, and lots of rain.
Yeah.
And again, we could use the rain. There have been years where we've had droughts, but right. I think we're protected for a while. So, yeah, today is pretty miserable, but it's supposed to start getting better by tomorrow and temperatures steadily increasing. Nice. As for me, as some people who are on know, I had to go through some heart procedures last week, had to have a couple more stents put in. That makes 6 total since my first heart attack 9 years ago. Well, I thank God I'm alive.
Now, does that mean that there are 6 stents in there currently, or did they replace certain stents?
No, there's 6. They haven't replaced any, and hopefully they never have to.
Yeah, okay.
The more current brand of stent is supposed to last for a while. Sometimes the rest of your life. That doesn't necessarily mean they will. And, I don't know how long my life is going to be. Maybe they will, and I won't.
They will last the rest of your life.
Hey, Mark, I don't mean to sound sexual here, but let's switch positions.
Wait a second. Okay. You're always asking me to switch positions.
I'm much more comfortable in this position than the one we.
I
don't want to try anything new anymore.
I feel your right hand. Just stop it.
This is much better.
Hey, real quick, while Lisa Michaels is on, I want to thank her very much for doing the peanut butter ketchup recipe challenge. She actually made the peanut butter and ketchup dip. And although she wasn't thrilled about it, the rest of her family absolutely loved it. So there you go. From my mom's 1959 recipe book, Good Housekeeping, the peanut butter and ketchup challenge was accepted by Lisa, and she made it. Thank you, Lisa. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Lisa. Indeed. Anyway, I'm on the mend and still going through some chest pains, but I've been through it before. It'll work its way out, and that's that.
That's good stuff. Yeah, we're happy you're.
I know who the person who said that is, but. We have got lots of people who are not identified right now, so we'll just roll with that. Some good news on the IPO front.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure this was going to come off, but it did. Looks like we'll be going back to Stockholm.
Sweden.
IPO Stockholm, our first one since 2019.
Nice.
We had one scheduled for 2020, and we all know what happened to that. So it's our first one since 2019. It'll be at a really cool venue that people are raving about called Encore.
Nice.
I want to thank Stefan of Encore for having us, and Trevor Gallant, somebody who I think you know, Mark, or do you?
Yeah.
Beluga, because they just did that Dolmans to
yes, they did. I just talked to Trevor not too long ago.
Yeah. I just ordered that reissue. Anyway, Trevor was the one who referred me to the club, and the owner went to him and said, "Should we do this?" And he said, "Yes, you should." And
Beluga Records
is the tipping point.
Label.
So, Beluga Records is cool. So thank you, Trevor.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're excited. I'm going to start inviting bands to Stockholm momentarily.
Nice.
So yeah, so we'll have Liverpool, Copenhagen, and Stockholm all in a row. So the first time ever, we'll be doing 3 European cities in 1 year.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
gotta love that.
So yeah, I'm real excited about that.
You should be.
Well, also very excited about the guest we have. It's a band that certainly made a lot of headway around the New York, New Jersey area, and now they're currently out in Los Angeles for a couple of shows. One at the legendary Viper Room tomorrow night.
Wow, nice.
And then the next at my favorite venue in LA, Redwood Bar. It's my favorite because we do IPO there, and because the man who books it, Eddie Lopez, is an absolute sweetheart. Good evening, Andy. Yes, I got your message. Oh well, but I'm glad you're here right now. So anyway, yeah. So the band called the Cynz, CYNZ, have 2 really cool shows coming up in my neck of the woods over the next couple of days, and the Cynz are fronted by a woman who is extremely talented. She rocks very much so, as does this new album coming out in a few weeks. It's called Little Miss Lost, and it's on Jem Records. Big shout out to Marty Scott and Maureen of Jem very much. This is a really good power pop album.
Yeah, indeed.
And, yeah, I mean, she's such a dynamic front woman, and we're very glad to have her on Material Issues. So, without further ado, would you please give a huge Material Issues welcome to? No, it's not Barbara Eden, even though you might think it is. It's Cyndi Dawson.
There she is.
You must have gotten.
Did Marty pay you for that introduction?
Yeah. We've checked.
Marty owes me lots of money over the years. I don't expect to get any of it.
That was one. Thank you for those very kind words. You're overly generous, but thank you.
Well, you must have heard. You must have had Barbara Eden comparisons in your life, huh?
I've had Barbara Eden comparisons most of my adult life, and I actually played her in a music video for Les July, and it's on YouTube called "The Genie Song" by Les July, and I'm actually Genie in the video. I come out of.
I dare ask. Did you wear the uniform, and did you get to show your belly button or no?
Oh yeah, I got to show my belly button, and Barbara Eden saw the video. And apparently thought it was very cute.
I'm forever crushing on Barbara Eden, and here's what's wonderful, Cyndi. Barbara Eden, I think she's 90 years old or very close, and she still looks fantastic. So
I have a good idea then what I'll look like if I make it to 90. Which
I'm saying you've got it made. You're a beautiful then as you are now.
Well, I've got to shout out the disclaimer. Sorry, boys, she's married.
Oh well, you know.
Listen, I am bouncing around in the back of a van, so if you see me trying to keep readjusting the camera, it's because we're bouncing, and it's really rainy here. So
where do you know where you are exactly? How far are you from the airport now?
We just left the airport about 10 minutes ago, and I think our Airbnb is about 16 miles. It's about 23 miles from the airport.
Whoa! It's 20. Well, I recognize that palm tree. No, I don't.
Yeah,
there's a palm tree right
there. We're staying in Tarzana.
Oh, really? You're seriously? Yeah. I live in Reseda, which is the next town. So,
the last time I was in Los Angeles I was 7 years old, and my mother told her father, who nobody had ever seen in probably, I never met him before. She said, "You're taking my kids for the summer," and he did. He took us for the summer, and it was the best summer of my whole life. He took us every place children should go, like Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. I mean, you name it. It was the most wonderful summer of my life. I got it. It's the only time I ever spent with this man, and boy, wow. he brought it. He brought it. So that was when I spent the last time I was ever in Los Angeles.
So I'm assuming this is the first time the Cynz are playing LA. So
oh yeah, yeah.
That's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting.
LA is a lot how you left it. I'm looking at tomorrow. I'm looking at the weather, and it's going to be really nice the next few days. So
yeah, I want to see the California sun.
You will. Oh yeah, you will see it. And it's going to be, So tomorrow high at 65, Friday 71.
Oh, that's nice. Good.
Yeah, you're going to get some good weather.
Yeah.
And I'm back here in Jersey where you came from, and we're supposed to clear up tomorrow, but it's been raining all day today too. Very dreary. But are you born and raised a Jersey girl?
Absolutely. I was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Born in Newark.
And then when my parents split up when I was the third of three girls. My parents split up when I was very young, and so my mother moved us to Highland Park, New Jersey, which is where I went from.
Ira Rosen, Highland Park and the Gripweeds. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gripweeds produced that album right there. Well.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah. Nice.
Kurt Ryle, yes. Respect.
Yeah. And he is actually doing some background vocals in a few of those tracks as well. So.
Doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
We have a few tracks queued up, by the way, so we'll get to those in a bit.
I wonder which ones, because I don't know. So whatever you play is going to be a surprise to me.
Yeah. So New Brunswick, I'm from New York as well, New York State. I graduated at NYU, and I used to do a lot of record shopping around New York and New Jersey. So do you remember a record store called Cheap Thrills?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. I went to school in New York, and I also bartended all over New Brunswick, and Cheap Thrills was in New Brunswick.
Yes. Yeah. Steve Kaplan, I think, was the name of the guy who owned it. Great store. And
also the Smithereens, they owned, a couple of the guys in the Smithereens owned a video store that also sold some records that was just down the street from where I was bartending. So I used to go in there as well to buy records.
I missed that place. Kurt Ryle is, yeah, it does take a lot of work to do what he does. He's a hard worker.
Yeah, his studio is literally 5 streets from the street I grew up on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Marty, you're on.
Marty's checking in.
Steve Thrills is a great Jem customer. Yeah, I remember Jem Records at that shop, Marty.
Marty, Cyndi apologizes for her hair, I guess. I don't know. I think it looks fine. But,
good to see you, yeah.
So do you guys know that Henry, who is now driving this van, Henry worked for Jem Records for 5 years.
I did not know that.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I only worshipped Jem from afar back then. I was just a young record geek, and I didn't know anybody. But I used to see the catalog and see their imprint, their sticker on all these imports, and it was like, wow, what a cool place. That's all I knew about it then.
So, Cyndi, you're a young girl in Newark, New Jersey, New Brunswick, that whole area. What gets you turned on as far as getting in music and to start to sing and perform and think that this is something you might like to do? Were you influenced by either one of your parents or sisters or siblings?
No. Well, yes. No? I had a sister who's 8 years older than me that refused. I mean, I was like reading Tiger Beat magazine and, and she was so embarrassed by the whole ordeal of the pinups and what I hung on the wall. And she said, no, I won't have my sister doing this. And she turned me on when I was like 7 years old. She turned me on to bands like T-Rex. I knew the whole story of Tommy the Who, and I brought it to show and tell in first grade. And I told the whole story of how Uncle Ernie molested Tommy. I didn't even know what the word meant. And the pinball machines. And they called my mother in, and they had a little conference with my mother about my inappropriate show and tell material. But I was probably a really cool kid at 7 because my sister really taught me a lot about music.
And were you formally trained at all? Or were you? Did you take piano lessons or anything? What?
No, I was a gymnast, and then I was a dancer, and then I was at 17 years old. I was going to acting school in New York, and my good friend that I grew up with, who also was in the school with me, we formed a band called Kamikaze Kitty and the Attack Cats, and it was 3 goddesses, and we all had different names. I was Aphrodite. And it was before the Spice Girls. I mean, this was a concept band. We were all young, cute little things. And So we had the first producer of MTV, Stefan Israel, was our manager at ICM, and we had all these big name musicians that were going to be our backup band, and we had great concept songs that we all wrote, and it was really very cool. And there'd be like lyrics like too many ways to skin a cat, reincarnations, where it's at, and like just really 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 cool stuff. And then the main girl, we used to rehearse at the Brill Building, and her boyfriend was a big band at the time, and they decided they couldn't handle New York. They were from the South, and they just were like, no, we got to get out of New York. They couldn't handle it. They ended up moving back to the South, and they're still together. They've got kids, but that kind of ended the band because this girl was essential to the band, and we didn't really know. We were so young. We didn't know how to handle it, like her leaving, and my girlfriend and I started getting acting work, so that kind of, stopped us from trying to remedy that situation. But yeah, so that was my first band. And then I worked in a rock and roll club as a bartender, where I met a lot of musicians, big names, not so big names, but just I knew the Smithereens from then. I became very good friends with Ivan Crowell, who really helped me a lot when I became a poet with a rock band. And that was my wheelhouse, where I was comfortable. I got a pretty good name in the city, doing poetry with the band, and published some books, and I was very happy there and very comfortable there. And then Henry, who was an old friend, we hadn't seen each other in years. We found each other on Facebook, and we got together, and he said, look, why don't you let me accompany you on guitar for some of your poetry things? And we started out like that. And then he said, why don't you just sing? I'm like, I don't sing. And I was adamant, I do not sing. And he's like, well, just, try it. So my first attempts at singing, I made him face the wall. I wouldn't let him look at me. And because, as an actress, I always passed the acting audition. I always passed the dance audition. And then I would sing, and you can hear them laughing. Because I'm not a singer like that, like a Broadway singer or a Celine Dion. But when I kind of made this epiphany that if I just do my own thing, I'll be okay. Like, I'll just do my own thing. Yeah. And that's when everything kind of sort of popped for us, because I sort of came into my own I have a really raspy voice, and I sort of came into my own kind of rocker voice, and that worked for me. Just doing me, not trying to sound like anybody.
Yeah. But in a sense,
God knows how we got here, but we did.
So in a sense, though, you were like the Patti Smith of New Jersey, a poet first and a singer second.
Well, and ironically, it was Ivan Crowell that really taught me back in the primitive days of the internet how to download a voice recorder, and I would do my voice recordings of my poetry, send them to Sweden to my friend Jerome Parker Wells, who was in Sweden, and eventually I flew over to Sweden, and we did a CD together called Inside of Outside. Then we toured that in London, all over London, and in Dublin, in Ireland, and we did some shows together also in New Jersey and New York, and then he had to go back to Sweden, so I put a band together here, here, New Jersey. And then I don't know what happened. Somebody heard my stuff and asked me to come to the Bowery Poetry Cafe in New York City, and so I started doing stuff there. Started doing stuff at Cornelia Street Cafe, and met a bunch of other poets. Started a series of my own in New Jersey that I invited people to come and perform at. I brought a band in so other poets could see what it's like to do your poems with a band. Right. And that was all I saw myself doing, and I was happy that way. And then Henry talked me into doing a band where I sing. And honestly, the first record that we put out, I mean, his work is great on it. I can't stand hearing myself sing on it. I never listened to that. But I really, really started to like the albums that came after that, as I came into my own.
Yeah. Cyndi, what year was your first band? Come again with that name with the kitty cats?
I was 17 years old. I'm not giving you that date. And that was...
you can't ask the woman that question, Mark.
I didn't ask her age. I said, what year was your first band?
Yeah, we can all do math.
It was back in the days when MTV was a real music video channel. And
so a decade in that area. I was just wondering what rock club you worked at as well, because back in those days I was a regular at many North Jersey and New York City rock clubs.
Okay, do you remember in New Brunswick? So you had the Melody, the Court Tavern, you had the Roxy, and then you had this one that only lasted 5 years called Patrick's with an X on the end. And we had international acts. So we would have like the Violent Femmes. Bruce Springsteen came one night and played. Lenny Kaye was there quite often with the Lenny Kaye Project.
Wow.
Which is how I met Ivan and Lenny. Oh my gosh. I mean, there were so many huge like punk bands.
Back in those days, there were so many. It was wonderful. There were so many clubs with so many touring bands from overseas and the U.S.
And of course, the Dirt Club. You must have gone there. Right?
The
Dirt
Circus,
Club was part of like the circuit.
The Circus, City Gardens, of course.
Right, of course.
They were all huge. But Patrick's, I was never at. So that's kind of cool.
Was in a very bad neighborhood, and the problem with it is it was right across the street from what we called Needle Park. Troop and Handy, and it was a really bad neighborhood. But it was like one of the outside of the court. We had a real stage. And it was a nice sized club. And, it only lasted 5 years, mostly because people would come in and set their stuff up in the daytime. And then they'd come back to play and half of it would be robbed.
Oh my God.
It just was really bad. But it was I couldn't believe I was getting paid to work there. Like,
that's awesome.
You mentioned Springsteen before. I think I read a really funny story about how Springsteen showed up and you didn't think it was him. Tell us about that.
This is so embarrassing. I can't believe you brought this up. Well, so there was this guy, John Eddie. You'll probably know John Eddie.
Yep.
He's a very talented guy, and he always played the last Friday of every month. And every month people would say, oh, Bruce is going to come play with John Eddie because they were buddies. And of course, Bruce never showed up. I mean, we're just this like little, rock club in the worst section of New Brunswick. And then one day I'm working the front bar and this guy comes in and he was short. Sorry, Bruce, but he was short and he had a bandana on and a guitar slung over his shoulder. And he walks in, he gives me a wink. I'm like, right, asshole, you're Bruce Springsteen. Okay. And the next thing I know, he is up on the stage playing with John Eddie. I think he did Pink Cadillac. And I was mortified because our job was to make sure that we took care of the entertainment. Like we made sure they had drinks. And after the bar everybody left, everybody hung out afterwards. And we would make sure everybody had a drink. I knew I was going to have to talk to him. So I went over to him and I said, Bruce, and he goes, honey, don't worry. I've been called far worse than an asshole. And that was it. Then we just all hung out and it was really cool. Aww. But I also met him another time after 9/11. I have a bar in Hoboken. And so all the firefighters in Hoboken were invited to a special surprise concert to open up the MTV Music Awards. And they called us up because we always took care of the fire department. Yeah. And they said, come on, you have to wear certain color clothes and you're going to show up at the Museum of Natural History. And we're saying nothing, just meet us there. And we met up with these guys. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting literally holding onto the stage. And James Gandolfini comes out and introduces the band.
Oh, wow.
I'm literally standing right below Patty. And it's the Bruce Springsteen band. And they played for like 3 hours. And it was just, I'm saying, there's videos you could see on YouTube. Bruce Springsteen, the MTV Music Awards, like I guess this was 2011, and or no, what am I saying? What? Yeah,
2001 is 9/11, so
2001 9/11, and it was so phenomenal. I can't even describe it. I'm literally like you could see my hands on the stage, looking up at them.
Oh,
it's crazy.
That's nice.
And he recognized me. I think he recognized me because he winked at me, but I don't know if that was because he knew me or he just winked at the girls.
Yeah, it's a couple times you've been winked at by Springsteen. I'm just a little bit jealous, although I don't swing that way. It's all good.
He's a winker. He's a winker.
So let's just want to jump ahead for a moment, at least. The album Little Miss Lost coming out on March 29th. on Jem Records. I have the first song queued up. I always do that because there's a reason a song is the first one on the album. There always is. It's called Crow-Haired Boys. Tell us a little bit about that, the song, and then we'll play it.
So, you know, of course, like I'm an 80s, 90s girl. And, you know, I hung out a lot at like Danceteria, and I worked in a rock club, and right. So
I danced with Madonna at Danceteria before she was Madonna.
I worked for Madonna. Well, I didn't work for her. I was her stand-in on the East Coast.
Cyndi, now I have to come up to your bar in Hoboken and hang out so we can chat about all this stuff.
Yeah. But I remember Madonna from when she was with Jelly Bean. And so, do you remember the Crow-Haired Boys, the punk guys? And they'd spend all day getting their hair right, you know? And they'd be all punked out, and they'd go out for the night. And then, you know, by Monday morning, they had to put their suit and ties on and go back to the office and straighten their hair down and, you know, comb it down. And so this was really about like just sort of the, you know, the how they were so like into cocaine, and there was a lot of coke around in those days. And a lot of my friends from those days didn't make it. They, you know, I lost a lot of friends when I was young. And so the song was kind of just about my days in the clubs and the Crow-Haired Boys.
All right, so here we go. Track 1 from the upcoming album, Little Miss Lost, Crow-Haired Boys. Play.
Nights turn to days, turn to cocaine fueled lies.
Story.
Busking for change in the park. Singing for meals in the dark. When it's good, we'll hit the clubs and dance into the night. But we know the nights will end and daylight's much too bright. Vampires lie in a haze.
Top down.
We're going to go to 55 and up.
We can't say
55 and up.
cigarettes on my high-heel boots. We're alone on city streets. The Crow-Haired Boys with the sprayed-up hair gonna gather up to me. Cocaine-frenzied nights. Pretty boys with vacant eyes. Guitars and bars and noise for those Crow-Haired Boys. Now the boys go home to the loneliness of morn. Nothing to comfort them from the day they're born. Back to their last 9 to 5. On goes the suit and the tie. Cigarettes on my high-heel boots. We're alone on city streets. The Crow-Haired Boys with the straight-up hair gonna gather up to me. Cocaine-frenzied nights. Pretty boys with vacant eyes. Guitars and bars and noise for those Crow-Haired Boys.
Wow, I love that.
Cigarettes on my high-heel boots. We're alone on city streets. The Crow-Haired Boys with the straight-up hair gonna gather up to me. Cocaine-frenzied nights. Pretty boys with vacant eyes. Guitars and bars and noise for those Crow-Haired Boys.
I love that guitar part.
Guitars and bars and noise for those Crow-Haired Boys.
About that song.
Guitars and bars and noise for those Crow-Haired Boys.
Great ending. Man, that rocks.
I hear a lot of Kurt Ryle on that. But the funny thing is, I would never have thought of you as having a raspy voice. Your voice sounds very smooth to me.
In that song, yeah, I mean, it was sort of like in a nice, comfortable vocal range for me. Henry's guitar work in that song is phenomenal.
It is.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, it's great, man. To me, that's a driving tune, man. You stick that on in the car. And
Dan was just saying, he goes, that's going to be the song of the summer. Everyone's going to have their convertible tops down playing that song loud.
I will. I own a convertible, so I'm going to do that.
Okay. And I'm renting one in May when I come to the West Coast, so I'll blast it then, so we can all blast it in our convertibles. That's the way it should be. Great track. I mean, that's got a, David and I are very big Norwegian Scandinavian pop fans. On my record label, I had the Dolmens, which is, very much a punk pop. They're wonderful, and so there's reasons I love that. I hear so much of just a great late 70s, early 80s power pop. Bram Tchaikovsky kind of ringing guitars. It just really kills. Great stuff.
Thank you. The hook is staying in my head. That's always a good sign.
Great ending. And of course, on your album, you have a wonderful cover of Holly and the Italians' Tell That Girl to Shut Up. And I mean, that's right in those lines. That song blew my mind when that first came out. And I saw Holly and the Italians over here at Emerald City in Cherry Hill. Just great stuff. And man, you are right in that groove. Great.
Marty Scott suggested that song to us.
Marty did, yeah.
Marty suggested. He says, "Hey, did you ever think of doing that song cover of Tell That Girl?" I'm like, no. I mean, for me, Henry's more like, I'd say he's more of the 60s oriented, more pop stuff. I am from kind of more of a punk background, and so I was like, no, because I like Holly and the Italians a lot, and I remembered the song. I just didn't know if it was right for us, and then I went home and listened to it, and I could hear how we would do it. I could hear how we would just like amp it up a little, and not do it as sweet, and that's what we did. But I mean, I love her version too, and I like Transvision Vamp's version.
Vamp's version, yeah. Yours is completely yours.
Yeah, we took it up a little bit. We notched it up a little more in a little more pop rock, kind of vein.
As far as punk is concerned, Cyndi, what were some of the punk bands that you were really into in your time? Who punk wise influenced you?
Well, I mean, I don't know if the album Horses, when I was like a kid, that album came out when I was a kid. And I mean, I heard that and I'm like, I want to do that. And to me, that was punk, even though I know Patty takes offense to being called the queen of punk or whatever. But that album was punk.
Yeah.
So that was a huge influence on me. And then when I worked at the Rock Club, I always had Hardcore Tuesdays. So I was really into like Tough Darts and Agnostic Front and
wow.
Did you just say Tough Darts?
Heavy stuff? Yeah.
Oh, I loved the 90s. Like I loved the girl groups like L7. I loved Hole. Don't hate. I love Courtney.
I did too. Celebrity Skin's a great pop album. Are you kidding?
You know something? You're right. But her voice is pure punk, and I loved her delivery and her toughness and she came across very strong on her album. Oh, yeah. And I mean, Celebrity Skin is one of the greatest albums. I don't care what you think of her personally or what anybody thinks of her personally.
Yeah.
That album is definitely one of my go-tos, like Horses.
Right.
And I just liked, then I don't have a genre that I like.
Yeah.
Only I'm very open to any music that I like. So I also am a big Joni Mitchell fan. So my taste ranges, I like Joni Mitchell's poetics. She's a poet. She is a poet.
Every young and teenage girl loved Joni Mitchell. How could you not?
Because you had to cry, when you broke up with a boyfriend or he broke your heart. You needed music to cry to, and she was the perfect music to cry to.
And did you just mention Tough Darts? Did I hear that? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I love Tough Darts. I
Yeah,
can't
I mean-
believe you just brought that. I mean, Your Love Is Like Nuclear Waste was like, I must have wore that album out.
What was
Yeah,
his
I mean,
name?
I loved MC5, like Kick Out the
MC5.
Jams. Is
John, is it John DeSalvo from the Tough Darts? Used to work at Free Being in New York. At that record store, I met him.
I
there.
really couldn't answer that question for you, but I know that
Salvo,
one of the
yeah.
guys in the band is my friend Lori's cousin, which I just found out and never knew. It's actually her cousin.
So when did the so how does the Cynz form, and when does this happen?
Well, when Henry and I had we had always been friends since I'm 15 years old, and we would constantly like run into each other every 10 years or so. And so my friend Jackie said, "Hey, I found Henry on Facebook." So we all had a reunion at my bar in Hoboken. Jackie had been in San Francisco; she was visiting, so we arranged this big reunion of all of us old friends. And I was telling him what I do, you know, what I was up to. And so, as I told you before, he asked me, if you ever need a guitar player, let me know. And I just happened to be looking for somebody new because I wanted to do some kind of something with a different style and, you know, just something fresh, something new. And that's how Henry and I got together. We did some what we call word rocker pieces that were recorded over at Poet Studio in Harlem with my friend Jackie Sheeler, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but she did a great job on some of her earlier pieces. And that was just me doing the word rocker thing. And then we, you know,
band and started doing covers.
Yeah, we started doing covers in the beginning because we didn't have a lot of originals. And you know, what are some of the ones that we did? Garbage, and what's Detroit Cobras, and we did some Dandy Warhol covers. And then I'm like, you know what? That's not a challenge for me. I didn't want to do covers. I wanted to do my own writing. I'm a writer. And so I wanted to utilize those skills and take it from, I know that some songs can be poems and some poems can be songs, but I wanted to write like some songs. And I wanted to learn that process, and I wanted to learn how to do bridges and when leads would come in, and just learn that whole. I really wanted to go in a studio and learn how studios work. And in the beginning, I knew absolutely nothing. I literally was just like, it was a foreign language to me. I had no idea how anything worked in a studio, but I paid attention big time. And I, like a sponge, I paid attention to whatever was going on, and I watched, because now I can contribute. Now I could say, well, this is what I want. I'd like you to add more of this, or can we take this and put it there? And I feel more now like, you know, that I am more of a, like I'm not a musician where I play an instrument, but I feel like a musician now intellectually.
Right. Well, you know what you hear in your head. You know what you
I know what I want.
Yeah, and you know how to get that point across too.
I'm very clear in how I want songs to be, but I'm working with somebody who is a co-writer, and you have to learn also how to give and take, and that was something I also had to learn because I was so in control as a poet, and I had to release some of that control and just trust that Henry was of the same mind as me of what we wanted in a song, and we just really work well together.
Now this new album that's coming out, it's Little Miss Lost. That's, I hear it's coming out Friday, March 29th.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about 2.5 weeks from now or so. But the opening track is already released as a single, and I believe Little Miss Lost is also a single at this time. It's released.
And that happens to be the next song that I have queued up to play. Is that title at all inspired by the Twilight Zone episode Little Girl Lost?
No. That episode is absolutely inspired by my life. At 17, besides being in this band, I had met this artist because he was supposed to design these string dresses for us for a video. And I went over to go meet him, and we hit it off so well that even after the band was no longer, I became his main model and did some performance art pieces at his he's a very, very well-known artist from that like heyday of Soho, when Soho was the place for art, and he introduced me to like the whole art world at 17 years old, I met Herring and Sprouse and some of the Warhol crowd, and I just met all these unbelievable. I mean, at the time nobody was famous yet. They only became famous after the fact. But at that time, it was so vibrant and exciting, and everybody, like you'd walk down the street and you'd know people because Renee was sort of controversial. But Renee also was I would say he was my protector. I would have to be, nude and strung up with these body sculptures that he did using string. But at the same time, he was incredibly protective of me, never made me feel like I would be taken advantage of. And him and his wife, Joanne, actually became almost like, not parents, but just made sure, like for example, German Playboy was really after me to do some stuff for them. And he said, no, wouldn't let me do that. And then there's a lot of porn people that thought just because you're modeling these string dresses that somehow you could easily be led into like the porn world. And he never let any of that happen to me. Like he just was so protective. So I got to experience this magical world of art and creativity at a time that will never be replaced. Yeah. It's just a magical time to be in Soho.
Magic. Yeah. I grew up on the same street as Keith Haring. He's 3 years older than me. He was a senior in high school when I was a freshman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so literally 1 block from me, and I graduated with his sister. I mean, what an artist he was! And
I mean, his art is still hip. It's still hip and cool.
Still, after all these years, it's still cutting edge and hip. And amazing. What a time! What a great time!
Yeah, Renee had that West Broadway wall that said, "I am the best artist." That Basquiat used to stand before he was Basquiat. He used to stand there and watch Renee paint. This before I came along. This was back in the 70s. When Renee was just starting to do his murals around the city. And Basquiat used to stand and just watch what he did. And if you look at Basquiat's later work, he stole a lot from Renee. But Renee's work was so respected that no other artist would tag his work.
Yeah.
He's one of the first street artists ever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Right. Let's hear this track. I want to hear another track from this fantastic album coming out March 29th.
Here we go with Little Miss Love,
Cynz,
the title track from the upcoming release.
How far away are we? Yeah, they are, right?
Yeah. I might have Sal. I'll talk to her when I get back.
About that video?
Yeah. What about stuff?
When you see that, good summer.
A little Miss Love.
good.
There goes that heavy guitar again.
Oh, Jem done with dinner with him.
There's no more time to lose. 'Cause you won't stay young for long. Sell yourself for wine and song.
No, there won't be this crowd get laid up. Not coming home. The other side of the highway. Oh my God, there's a sign that says Lakeshore Boulevard, like the song.
Yeah.
Wow. What an ending, too. Another
Nice, really nice, chill-inducing ending. The false ending.
Great false ending.
Yeah, I think that the thing that was powerful about that ending and what wanted it was because Little Miss Claus, you know?
It's wonderful. I love it.
Your life don't feel the same. Look for things you know ain't right. No love for lonely nights. Never do what you know you should.
You can see them dancing. It's so cute. Yeah, no, they're great. They're bopping around. Yeah. Does that even happen?
I love it. All summer. so good, man.
I'm having more fun watching you than you are watching me.
Yeah.
That
works for us.
Wait, John Kirby's checking in. Is that Cyndi on the album cover?
It is.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me modeling the string dress, the nudismo.
I thought that was your daughter, actually.
No, I wouldn't let my daughter pose like that.
Little Miss Lost, the Cynz, coming out March 29th on Jem Recordings. I run the banner across the bottom, gemrecordings.com. The single is available right there right now. But it's coming out in a couple of weeks, so make sure you either pre-order it or order it when it gets out. What a great album for the upcoming spring and summer. Fantastic.
Thank you.
So, Cyndi, tell us about Marty Scott. How did you get connected with Jem?
Well, we had we had a kind of a bad experience with a not so genuine label. I'm not going to say, and so I didn't want to be on a label ever again. And I got really controlling of the band and really protective. And I just said, we'll do our own thing. And we started our own label and publishing and all that stuff. And then I did that for years and I got tired, so Henry called me up one day and he said, you know what? He said, my old boss is restarting the label. And I said, well, that's the only label that I trust. So, because he liked Marty, he liked working for Marty. And so I said, that's the only label that I think I can trust anyone, because I'm so mistrustful of labels now. And so Henry sent our stuff in and we didn't hear from Marty for 2 years. So one day I put up a post on Facebook that I think I just wrote the best song I've ever written. And this guy goes, send it to me. I'm like, we don't just send our stuff out. It's got to get copywritten. And Henry calls me up because Cyndi, that was Marty Scott from Jem. So I went, oh. So I wrote to Marty and I said, oh, I didn't realize that was you. And, he goes, go demo it and then send it to me. So we did. We went into a studio. We demoed the song and we sent it to him. And he's like, okay, when are you playing? I'll come see you. And the first time we played, he didn't show up. I think he got sick or his wife was sick. Could have been COVID. I don't know. But anyway, they didn't show up. So I'm like, he hates us. So then he called me and he said, when's the next time you're playing? I said, okay, we're playing on this date. You should show up. And they came and they stayed for 4 or 5 songs. And that's when I met Tony. I think Tony liked us more, to be honest. Marty could speak to that.
That's Marty's wife, by the way.
Yeah, she's a doll. But they left before our set was over. I'm like, Henry, I told you, they don't like us. And then the next day, Marty called me up and said, when can we sign you? I was like, today? How about today? and we signed pretty much within a week, I think, after that.
Great story.
That's great. Now, I mean, he's got an amazing roster of artists. And
he just got really Paul Collins. I mean, come on, Paul Collins. I love Paul Collins.
We just had Paul on the show 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of stories. His book is so funny. His book is one of the funniest music books I've ever read.
Speaking of which, you've written at least one yourself, haven't you?
Well, poetry books. I've been asked to do an autobiography. I just have some issues with certain pivotal times to write about that. I just, I don't know. I just can't. I would need a ghostwriter. I just can't revisit. You move on and you can't revisit certain things. And so I had started one. It's just sitting there with the first 4 chapters, and I've never in years I haven't touched it. So I don't know. I don't know if I could do that.
We would read it.
I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff to read in it, but then there's a lot of not fun stuff. And I have a daughter. She's also 20 years. She's a young adult now, and I don't know that she needs to know everything about my life. But if I were to leave that stuff out, then it wouldn't make sense to who I am today. So
almost every rock and roll biography has good and bad in it. So.
My bad was pretty bad, and I don't know if I want to necessarily. I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's just honest. And you're rocking now, so just keep
Yeah, I'm
doing what
happy.
you're
Like
doing.
I'm not one to. I use the past for creative purposes
Yeah.
because it's an infinite source of songs for me and poetry, but I don't dwell in it in my everyday life. But
Mhm.
it makes for good creative stuff. So it's not like you forget your past, but you don't necessarily have to dwell in it in your present.
True enough. Are you where you like to be as a songwriter, or are you looking to really just hit the highest possible heights?
I kind of live in the present, whatever. Like when Henry and I started this band, it was just to be a creative project, a challenge for me to do something different and new. And I never expected, I never thought about it be like, oh, we're going to be on the radio or, oh, we're going to have records. I never thought of that. It just happened. Somebody heard us and said, hey, you should be playing at these clubs. And then they gave us the name of some of the bookers. And the next thing I know, all of this stuff just happened over the course of the years that we've been together. And it was not planned. Nothing was planned. It just kind of happened. Now, I do have drive. I admittedly am a driven person, but I was that way as a dancer. I was that way as a gymnast. I was that way as a poet. I've always had immense drive to be as good as I can at whatever it is I do and to take it as far as I can. So this was just another thing that I've done in my life that was surprisingly longer lasting. And,
Well, we're thankful for it. This album, Little Miss Lost, is fantastic. I mean, the two songs we heard tonight, just killer, and the rest of the album's just as good. All killer, no filler, as they say. I love it. I love it. Very well done, and
thank you
something
so
we're
much. Thank
proud
you so
of.
much.
And I'm assuming March 29th, you're back in New Jersey. Will you be playing more places in Jersey and New York City and getting out
Yes.
there? What's the plan?
March 29th is my annual 26th birthday bash because in rock and roll, you can't turn 27. So,
Oh yeah, true.
So I have every year for the last God knows how many years, I've had an annual 26th birthday bash in New York, and it's really good. It's packed. You never know who's going to show up and play. Sometimes I usually have Arno or Mark Hecht or Mark Bosch. They usually show up to play with me, but I bring some people from the other bands up. We have the Anderson Council. We have the Gripweed, Boom Pearl. Oh gosh, there's more bands than that. I just can't think at the moment. And it's just a fun night, It's just like it's just a real fun night. That'll be at the Parkside on Houston.
That's the Parkside on Houston
last year, Cindy, and
on the 29th
this year. We love the Parkside.
Yeah.
Which is
shout out to Tip.
Is a Friday night.
Kind of like our new home. For years it was the sidewalk, and then that closed, and then the Parkside kind of was our new home where we play the most of any club. So I love that place. It's
really great.
It's a dive bar, but it's like it's where we belong. To be honest.
Definitely, it's where every pop band belongs because the people are really nice. The sound is good, and the location. It's not far from Cass's Deli, so you can't beat that.
And Dan Anklin here, Bootleg Dan. I hooked him up with. I met him through Justine Cobalt, who passed away. Red on Red Records, and so we met at it. He was coming to New Jersey to a big star concert, and so Henry and I went up and met him. We hit it off right away. We became fast friends. And I said, I know somebody in New York that you should work with. You two are very similar in personality, and you're both real, genuine, honest people. And I hooked him up with Kip Elbaum, who you know. And they have really changed the face of, between Boston and New York, they've created quite a community of bands from New York go up to Boston, bands from Boston come over to New York. And it's just changed the face of the whole scene in 1 year. In 1 year alone.
No, Dan is wonderful. Dan helped me put together a Red on Red Records night in Boston.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, it never would happen.
I actually had lunch with Justine because she couldn't make our show that night. So she took my band out to lunch. But her and I had this one thing in common. We both were mothers of young adult daughters. And when you're a rock and roll mom of a young adult daughter, there's sort of this thing where you're taking away their shine when they most need it. And you go through a lot of, like in their teen years, you go through a lot of turmoil. And then we were both laughing about how now they think we're cool. Finally, they think we're cool. And they bring their friends to the shows and stuff. And we were laughing about that. And I said, man, this is a woman that I'm going to be good friends with, you know? And then a week later, she passed. Dan called me up actually and told me, and I was stunned.
Yeah, we all were.
Yeah, devastating.
So on a more positive note, here you are in LA. You're about to play the Viper Room, one of the most legendary venues in this whole city.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What's going through your mind right now?
I want to give a shout out to Slam Denistas because they wanted to come to New York and their dream show would be to play with us in Palmyra Del Rey. So I'm like, I got to put this together. I've got to make it happen for them. And somehow I managed to make it happen. And, did they have a fun gig that night? It was just too much.
They were a fun band, yeah.
And so they said, look, we want to return the favor and we want to bring you over to LA. And man, did they do it in a big way. I'm living in surreal land right now. I can't even believe it. I'm really excited.
That show is tomorrow night.
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. I unfortunately won't be able to make that one, but I will be at Redwood on Friday, and we can't wait to see you there, both my wife and I. And I know it's all going to be great for you, Cyndi.
I'm both excited and also like, I just want to bring a good show.
You will. I have 100% confidence in that.
Thank you.
And I've got it on my schedule for the 29th. If I can make it up to the city, I'll be there.
Oh, great. Yeah, Dan's going to be there. Dan is going to be in attendance, so you'll get to meet Dan.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna try my best to get up there, spend the night and have a good time. The 29th for your 26th birthday bash.
Yeah.
Can't believe you're 26.
I know, it's a miracle.
A miracle. It's amazing.
A miracle. I'm older than my daughter. Younger than my daughter.
It's good. Well, thank you so much, Cyndi, for joining us here at Material Issues.
Absolutely.
This was an absolute blast. The album, I'm going to put it back up here again, Little Miss Lost with the brand. It's coming out March 29th on Jem Records. Everything about it can be found at jemrecordings.com. It's going across the bottom of the screen right now. So make sure you pre-order, download the singles, whatever it may be. It's the Cynz, Little Miss Lost. Gotta love it. Thank you again. Have a great time in LA.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The weather's going to be really good for you starting tomorrow, so you'll have a lot of fun.
Okay, good. I'm waiting.
We'll see you on Friday.
See you then.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Take care. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, that was fantastic. Holy cow. JemRecordings.com, the Cynz, Little Miss Lost. It's coming
March
out
29th on Jem Records. Definitely buy it.
Man, fantastic. I mean, the two songs we heard just rocked. I mean, just fantastic. And the rest of the album is really, really good.
I almost played the cover of A Room Without a View, the Smithereen song, which is one of my favorites. Was that rehearsed? Jordan, you're silly.
But really good stuff. And I'm sure she's going to kill it there in LA. And this album's fantastic. So great get. Cyndi's wonderful, and the Cynz rock. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of a lot of fun, what do we got going on the next? We got a bunch of stuff coming up.
We do. And in fact, we have something that even you don't know about, but you will.
This could be a surprise.
Yeah, Donald Trump will no.
Trump, no. Wait, all of our subscribers just unsubscribed.
Yeah, thankfully not him. But next week we will have someone who's actually talented. A young man from Australia. I could be wrong about that, though. I should have looked. But a lot of great music coming out of there. His name is Wesley Fuller. and he's got a new album out on Cool Cat. It's also on an Australian label on vinyl. Trying to remember the name of the label. I don't right now, but it's on CD on Cool Cat. All fuller, no filler, and indeed it is. He's for such a young guy. He's really attuned to what hooky power pop is about, and these songs are very, very upbeat. They just feel really good. Little bit of like that good disco influence on a couple of songs too. But yeah, not trust me when I say that. Oh, like that rock disco feel, but most of it is just glammy, power poppy, excellent stuff. So we're gonna have Wesley on March 13th, next Wednesday. Well, March 14th for him because he'll be the next day already.
He's going to give us all the lottery numbers from the U.S. He's a day ahead of us.
Hopefully so. On the 20th, and this is the band that was supposed to be on last week until, unfortunately, we needed to postpone them due to my surgery. You must remember Switch and the Glide, This Beat Goes On, a big staple on American Bandstand and MTV and all of that. Yes, we've got the Kings, the auteurs of that song, and they're still going strong with a new album called The Longest Story Ever Told. And indeed it is, because they've been together for how long now? At least 45 years. So,
years, yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a while. It's been a while, I should say. And we're going to have as our guests the two main men, Dave Diamond and Mr. Zero, the singer-songwriters of the band. Really cool guys. I've known them for a long time.
Yeah.
They played IPO many times, and I even got to come up and sing Switch and the Glide with them on stage. Although I only sang the chorus because I don't remember the lyrics of the verse. But that's enough for me anyway. No one wants to hear me sing. So we're going to have them on the 20th.
Kings, nice.
The 27th is still empty. We'll probably keep it that way because we haven't done a just me and Mark kind of thing.
Yeah, we need a stump the bash. We need some fun.
We need all that good stuff. So the 27th we will likely leave open. On April 3rd, you soft pop fans will rejoice. Surely any fan of 60s soft pop knows, loves, reveres the Millennium and the Sagittarius. That's mean.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Kind of true, but terrible. Anyway, the main man of those groups was Kurt Betcher, and again, legendary figure in soft pop, but he had a lot of help. And one of his strongest helpers was this man, Sandy Salisbury. And Sundazed has unearthed these early demos of Sandy, and is going to be putting out, this record should be out by the time we have him as our guest. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm talking about guests now, so no back and forth at the moment, please. Leave us alone. A new album called Mellow as Sunshine. And this is really cool stuff. It's very pretty. He's got such a sweet voice, and he's got a really, really great disposition. Now he's actually under his pen name, Graham Salisbury. He writes children's books. So, wow. Anybody who does that, has got to be a nice, upbeat guy. And he is. So we're going to have Sandy Salisbury talking about his time with Sagittarius, the Millennium, the Ballroom, and the other things he's done, and this album, Mellow as Sunshine and Glorious Mono, because they're demos. So
it's going to be awesome,
right?
What a great
on April 10th, and this is the one you don't know about.
All right, I'm getting ready to write this down. Who is it?
Well, it's a gentleman who originally people knew of him in the 90s when he led the really fun kind of punky pop band called Size 14. And I don't know if you remember Size 14, but yes. Very just really kind of funny, geeky lyrics. They'd have songs like Sleeping in the Wet Spot, Claire Danes Poster. See, you get where we're going with this. But very, very hooky. And then one day in 1999, the main man of the band sent me a cassette. He said, "I'd love you to hear what I'm doing now." So I'm driving along, and at that point I have a cassette player in my car. So I put the cassette in, and it's like, oh my God, what the hell is this? And you want to talk about soft pop and power pop, but mainly on the softer side of power pop. It was really, really amazing. And the man is still going strong. He's put out lots of records, and he's got a new one in the work. Yes, on April 10th, Linus of Hollywood.
Oh,
yes. He's also
fantastic.
He's also a great producer for bands like Bowling for Soup, which
he sure is.
He's in his wheelhouse because of Size 14. They kind of took up where Size 14 left off.
You know what? I forgot that he was involved in Size 14. So when you said Linus of Hollywood, what a wonderful surprise.
Yeah. It's funny because I ran into him. He lives out here. I ran into him twice at different record stores over the last month and a half. And I said, you should be on our show. And he said, yeah, I'd love to. So here we are on April 10th, Linus of Hollywood, and new music coming out by him. So,
and I'll look forward to that too. Holy cow. That's great news. Great news.
And we're back in the 60s. Well, we're 60s meets today. With our guests on April 17th. Every 60s fan in the world knows the song Red Rubber Ball, and many of them also know the song Turn Down Day. The two hits by a band called The Circle. Red Rubber Ball, co-written by the great Paul Simon.
Yep.
And The Circle had two really cool albums in the 60s. A lot of people just know the two hits, but they had a lot more deep cuts and some singles that didn't make the albums. There have been compilations out with all their stuff, but believe it or not, they're back and with a vengeance, and they've got an album coming out. How about
you never thought about that?
That could happen one day.
You never know.
Maybe we'll see if Linus would be up for doing that.
So there's got to be a first. Who did? Didn't we have? Who did pick up a guitar? That one of our recent guests. I'm trying to remember. It was
Jordan Oakes, I think.
Was it Jordan Oakes? Yeah, and then we turned the broadcast off immediately.
I'm sure he'd be the first to agree. Anyway, we're going to have. Well, let me before I say who it is. The band, The Circle, are still going strong. They have an upcoming release on the great Big Stir Records label. Wow. Big shout out to Christina and Rex of Big Stir. This is the album. It's called Revival, and indeed it is. And they're still in really good voice. A lot of cool new originals, a couple of covers, new versions of as bonus tracks of Turn Down Day and Red Rubber Ball. So they didn't make them part of the album. They're actually bonus tracks because they want the album to stand on its own. And indeed it does. This is good stuff. And on April 17th, we will have one of the main men of the band, Don Daneman, will be our guest on Material Issues. Yeah. So one of the original members of The Circle, still going strong. This new album is excellent. I don't remember the exact release date. I think it's maybe next week or the week after, sometime in March. But so it'll be out by the time we have Mr. Daneman on as our guest. And this is not just a toss off of an old band just trying to stay in people's hearts and minds. This is a really good record. So Revival is called on Big Stir. Don Daneman, our guest on Material Issues on April 17th. So that's what we have coming up. That's quite a lot. Of course, we have we have Irons in the Fire. Oh, March 22nd. Okay, makes sense. Nice. So it'll be out before the month is out. So it'll be out for almost a month before we have Don on as our guest. Mark is snickering. Somebody's commenting, and he's not putting it up.
That's good stuff. But my gosh, if you haven't subscribed to materialissues.com or joined us here on Facebook, and if you haven't told all your friends, please
then you're a stone fool.
Then you're a fool. I mean, look at what we just had tonight. Cyndi Dawson of the Cynz in the backseat of a limo in LA before she plays the Viper Room was on our show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's very cool. Yeah.
That's very cool. And we've got so many great guests coming up. I mean, 5 of the 6 weeks coming up. We've got fantastic guests. And the one week we don't have a guest, we're going to have a great time with Stump the Bash, which not only is a lot of fun, but you learn a lot of things about.
Yeah, we haven't done a proper Stump the Bash
true
for a while.
Stump the
And
Bash.
the last one we did, I got my head handed to me.
Yes.
And I believe we may end up doing the rest of the years for that number that I didn't choose. And you've already warned me ahead of time that
it's tough.
That happened just randomly. Number 66 happens to be a very tough number.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
But yeah, tell everybody.
Maybe we'll do a different year complete. Maybe we'll do a different number completely. But
you never know. I could surprise you completely with a different number.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll talk about some new releases on that date as well. There's definitely been some, other than the stuff that's guest related. There've been a lot of really cool things coming out this year so far. So.
And if you haven't subscribed over at podbean.com, I'm running that around the bottom. The audio only, I'm trying to get all the shows up. I think I'm up to about 66 of our 144 shows. Takes a little time to put the audio only up. But if you like just podcasts and listening to it in the car or whatnot without watching video, materialissues.podbean.com, and you can listen to everything audio only. So that's getting there. But we're 144 episodes in now. Holy cow.
Yeah. Pardon me for being a little bit shorter breath sometimes. It's just residue from the procedure I went through. Yeah. Eventually I'll be 100% back up to speed. But I'm doing this show makes me forget about everything that's going on, and so I'm feeling in a very good way. So I'm feeling real good right now.
Good. Fantastic show. That'll do it for you when we have such a great show like that.
Will.
It's a lot of fun.
Anyway, so everyone,
forward to the next 5 weeks. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. Tell your friends, have them listen as well. We've got, if you're still here, we've got some great guests coming up over the next month plus. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, we can see some of the comments sometimes, and it's all good.
I don't know. That's Jordan. I don't know what to do with him. Anyway, everyone.
I'm glad you're feeling better. Continue good health. And we'll go from there. We'll see everybody next Wednesday, normal time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Material Issues. Thank you, Lisa, once again. That was another great show. Lisa checked in. Happy rest of the week.
Thank you, Lisa.
Enjoy that peanut butter.
Say hi to Tom and the kids, please.
Yeah, indeed. And we appreciate everybody joining in with us tonight, and all our friends. This is what it's all about. So have a great rest of your week, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday, same time, same station. Material Issues. David,
stay well, everyone. Take care.